Hey everyone, this is Tyler Drew, the director of the film and one of the actors. I've always been very passionate about filmmaking and acting since I was a kid, and this is just one of my projects. I've always wanted to do a supernatural, demonic film because they're one of my favorites. Horror is my favorite genre, but the supernatural, demonic possession films are ones that always freaked me out the most, along with true crime, but this is just one that I have always wanted to do, so I've finally got to do it. And I've worked on a similar project from a friend of mine that written a short film about the Antichrist. But as for this one, I had wanted it to be a little more personal, more close to home, more relatable to me, being a gay man, and also being just living with society and it still affecting many of us in many different ways. I wanted to put some hopefully deep social commentary into the film, where the story comes from. And I know in several ways people can relate. Anyone's dealt with some form of ignorance, whether you're black or gay. We've all been oppressed in some way. So I mean, I wanted to get that message across, that we're not so different. So this scene here with the intro is actually real protesters that I had experienced at a gay pride I went to, and I recorded it with my phone, and so I thought I'd put it into this film. And this shot here with the street light, that's a little subtle homage to The Exorcist, except this time it's in the morning. And I wanted to flip the switch literally a little differently. With most horror movies, the light turns off to get a scare. This is with the light turning on. And I think it's just a little different and, not quite so cliche. And we get a little view of the demon here. And this, where the light broke, it actually really happened when I was in production with this film. And the scene sweeping up the broken glass, this is actually the glass that fell and that broke off of the ceiling, so I thought I'd put that into the film. Hopefully I didn't actually conjure up some real demons or anything, but I thought it'd fit perfectly for the film. I tried to get different angles and shots, just to, of course, hopefully create some atmosphere and tension, and definitely wanted to just again here showing just the ongoing ignorance and how people in many ways can affect the way you live. Your neighbors are also a part of your home life, and because you see them every day, for the most part, coming in and out of work, whatever. And that's an experience I also shared. I put into the film as 3 years ago I had to move because of death threats for basically being gay, and so we had moved away from our previous home apartment, and so I definitely want to put that in the film as well. So all these are life experiences I've dealt with, and many of you others have as well, I'm sure. So I put that in there, and this is my good friend Deanna M. Fry. She is such a great actress. She's such a bitch in this, but I love it. So she's also an author. She writes her own books and directs her own movies on her own channel and on YouTube. And she writes as well, and she's damn good at it and very talented. So I'm really grateful to having her help. And my friend Valentine here, he's always willing to help, even though I had to beg him to help me with this project because he is very religious and spiritual, even though he's gay himself. And he believes in evil forces and demons and all that, so he didn't want to do a project based on this because he thought it would actually bring in evil spirits. But I told him it had a very powerful message, so it wasn't all about horror, but the more humanity part of it. And so he was willing to do it. because he's a great actor. He always brings something really new and fun to the film, because he's a really gifted actor as well. And this is me working, acting in the heat, because it's still in the summer, so it's really hot out. And I actually had to redo these scenes because I'm soft spoken, so I had to redo them. And I didn't like this at first takes or not, so I just redid them. But so he's not really there in the shot. There's separate takes, but yeah, so it's already really hot because I had to walk like 2 miles to get there. But then I think this one paid off. But this is definitely important to me, this scene talking about how if you come out, there's a very high chance you can lose your family members or their respect. So I wanted to address that into the film, because that has definitely happened to me on some regards, but not by my mom and dad. My dad actually came around, but anyway, and my mom did, always accepted me, but it was just important to touch on that, and how in most cases it's the Bible beaters that chase people away from religion. So in most cases, religious people chase people away from what they're preaching, and really makes them lose faith. And that was definitely, obviously, the plot of the movie that's making that as what draws forth the demon. And this is Wes, my boyfriend. He's always supportive. Even though he's not into filmmaking, he's always there to help and happy. And I love him so much, and I hope that showed in our performances with our chemistry. Now, this is kind of an abrupt scene because I had to kind of rush a little bit to get this done because of technical difficulties, but I will have an extended version hopefully. But other than that, this is the possession scene. We're obviously trying to, I'm not very limber, so I'm just going with what I've got. But I've got a very deep voice of how I achieved the demon voice here, as I just slowed it down, and I think it sounds pretty creepy. And this is several shots of me wearing a mask with horns that I just showed the shadow behind it. And this is a little premonition I put in, a little jump scare. And I love black and white, so I'm always putting that in my film somewhere. These little clips I wanted to put together to add a little kind of suspenseful sequence. And now the part behind the nails, the costume design I came up with, it's more spiritual. I didn't just want to, like in The Exorcist and other demonic films, they often harm themselves, but then the nails are mocking the Holy Trinity, basically, with the crucifixion, and making them into claws for a demon look. And this is our apartment. And we already had pictures hanging up, so I didn't really have to decorate or put any for the set, because it was already, set up. But this scene coming up took several different shots, because instead of using a strobe light, which I should have done, I couldn't find it at the time, so I had to cut the scenes in two to change the lighting in each take to make it appear like the light's flickering. So that took a good while to do. And then I slowed down the voice again to where it would sound demonic. And I had this old Mary statue that I had given to my dad a long time ago, but he already had one that he's had. So I wanted to use that in the film because it's a very important part of the story as far as him completely losing his faith and everything. And this is where his character explains about how the family's miscontext in religion has drove him away and made him vulnerable to evil. My dad was Catholic, and he his house flooded one time because we lived near a river. But then his Mary statue was hoisted up, holding up this shelf on a bracket with no breaks or anything, which is really a miracle and incredible to see. But as far as the makeup design I did, I'm not no special effects artist or nothing, so I just used a face mask cleaner and let it dry like you do, and then peel it off a little bit, and then I painted over it with face paint with black and red to make it look a little gnarly and like kind of scab looking. And the stuff coming out of my mouth is just regular mouthwash. And I painted my teeth black with some face paint because I didn't have my prosthetic teeth that I normally would use. I lost them or somewhere, misplaced them. So I just painted over my teeth real quick and didn't leave it alone too long, like a minute or so. But yeah, it's a really fun experience to do because I just love horror, obviously, and I had to keep cutting my hair because, it's a process. It took about 3-4 months. Gradually work on it with different time frames and people to my advantage then. So I had to keep cutting my hair to look the same. I'm speaking Latin, and I had read some of that to speak a different language because I don't speak any other languages in reality. But this next effect is really cool that I reversed the falling statue of Mary and to show that, the wicked is gone, and, I just think it's kind of symbolic. And then the light shining back through. Might be a little corny to some, but I like it. But everyone just done so well in this movie. Wes, my friend Deanna, and Valentine here. He's just so good and experienced because he's had acting training as well. I've had drama class and some as a teenager, but I never really went anywhere other than YouTube. But I'm fine with that. But I wanted to show me paying respects to the past mom, and then also the flashbacks with me and my boyfriend, and show some of our relationship, and then revealing that he's passed on, no thanks to the demon, and this is where he finds his faith again, and hopefully comes off as a good ending, but then later comes the surprise. And this is very common too, like he comes off as a good guy at first, Valentine's character, the preacher, but many of them can be very two-faced and never really trustworthy sometimes. So I wanted to show that he's not all good, or even through his preaching, that it's also corrupted other people's minds and doing this horrible act that has really been a part of our culture and others with the electric shock therapy. And I had to do this in a hospital room. So it was a first take, and I was really nervous about it. But I think it went pretty well. And I wanted to show the demon hands doing this therapy, showing that how evil it really is, and that they're the ones possessed. And in a way, it also promotes just how evil, people are when they don't understand something. And it still happens in many other countries. People get stoned to death for being gay or, whatever. And it's just heartbreaking. And, with the conversation therapy, it's very much alive today. And hopefully things change for the better. But
Thank you for watching,
yeah,
and please subscribe.
that's my film Darker.